On today's video, we're back to Lost Kingdom 52. This time, we have a 3v1 turning into a 3v2. As in the previous video, we saw Kingdom 413 in orange, 426 in blue, and 416 in pink going up against 411 in red. It was a 3v1 in that right Zone 6, but backup came in the form of baby blue. Kingdom 422 came from the top left of the map all the way around to the right side, Zone 6. And in this video, we're going to talk about how they did that, as well as show you tons of rallies, reports, and everything along the way, and also show you guys how this ended up being a victory for the side of 411 and 422. If you guys enjoy war content, this video is for you. We got tons of rallies, a lot of reports, and awesome losses across the board. So sit back, drop a like on the video. Hey there YouTube, welcome back to Gekko Gaming. Today, we're back to Lost Kingdom 52. If you haven't seen the first video card up on the top right for that goodness, we are in the right side of the map. This is zone number 6 of the old Lost Kingdom map. And in here, we have a very strong 4v1. Well, technically 3v1 situation going on right now. It's not a 4v1. It is 413, 426 and 416, orange, blue, and pink going up against 411 in red. Now, there are a couple of things you should know about this Lost Kingdom before we start though. I'm a sponsored content creator by Rise of Kingdoms, and did you know that 56.7% of you are not subscribed to the channel? What are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and the like button too, and let's go. So, the way this worked out is that the Lost Kingdom as a whole was not a 3v1. The whole Lost Kingdom as a whole was a 4v4. I am sure that those of you who called me a clickbaiter understand that when we make a video about a zone where 3 kingdoms are fighting one, we say this is a 3v1. Makes sense. Anyway, in this 3v1 situation, Kingdom 411 found themselves going up against orange, blue, and pink. Now, orange, blue, and pink had a really interesting attempt to take over this zone. The way they worked it out is that pink was going to keep hugging the wall of the zone and go down. Orange and blue were going to kind of branch a bit towards the center and then make their way downwards. The thing that ended up happening here is that pink made it down all the way to the red level 5 pass and really took over the rightmost area of that whole zone. You'll see the map in a bit as we go in the video. I'll zoom out towards the map so you understand better what is going on. But once pink made it to the pass, they realized that blue and orange were having not only a little bit of a tough time making their way downwards, but they were also branching more towards the center, which caused a problem. In the strategy of these 3 kingdoms, they were going to work together so that they can always double or triple rally 411, as they knew that 411 were very strong kingdom and they didn't want to find themselves fighting 1v1s. But as soon as pink made it down and the rest of the kingdoms just didn't, not because they were weak or anything like that, but just the way it worked out is that pink just built straight down and blue and orange had, first of all, a little bit more building to do. And secondly, went kind of outwards and then down. That kind of slowed them down, which gave red an opportunity to really take over a very big zone. And from there, isolated pink all the way on the side. When that happened, pink decided to retreat a little bit off of the bottommost area that was closer to the pass and go help in the upper areas where orange and blue were available and help the double rallies. Now, while all this was going on, there are a couple of other kingdoms involved in this Lost Kingdom that are worth pointing out. Kingdom 422 in green were all the way up on the left side, way out there. And they were allied with 411. As well as purple, who are 429, they were the center left, I believe, or they were the center left. And from there, you had yellow, I believe, in 417 at the bottom left corner. And in the middle, in baby blue, was 415. Now, baby blue, red, and green were allied, and purple were too, from my understanding. Yellow got locked into their zone, and that was that. And the crazy thing is, if you go right now to that Lost Kingdom, you'll notice that NB1 and NB1 and NB2, NB1A and NB2A, I guess, the folks of 422 were so ready to fight it out. These guys, they've been having a tough time getting fights in KVK, so this time around, they went around the world. They built four forts, near passes, hopped a wall with a flag, teleported, built another fort, hopped a wall, teleported, so forth and so on, again and again. They started from their top left area, they made it to their left zone 5, then at the bottom of that zone 5, built a fort, hopped the wall, picked up from purple the pass for a couple of moments, then they went to the other side towards the bottom zone 5, built a fort, picked up the pass away, I believe, from purple or from baby blue for a few moments, hopped a wall, built the flag, again, made it all the way to the bottom area, built a fort, took a pass, hopped a wall, and once more went towards this zone. I think that by the time they got here, 4 forts is about 12 to 16 hours worth of building. Everything was done. But if you go take a peek at that Lost Kingdom right now, you'll see green forts all around the map. They did everything they could to come for this fight, which was awesome. So initially, what ended up happening is that baby blue in 415 and 411 in red owned the bottom zone 5. They could have just stayed there and waited for zone 6. Sorry, they owned the bottom zone 6, and they could have waited for zone 7 to open up. Remind you, in the old Lost Kingdom, zone 4 is your initial zone, and then zone 5 is that one that has the corner kingdom and 2 middle kingdoms sharing it, potentially. And then you have zone 6, which is 4 zones, and from there you can start making your way to the other zones. And then for zone 7 is Kingsland. So the zone 6 at the bottom was very well secured for red and baby blue. They could have just waited it out. But red decided they wanted war, which is awesome. I definitely like that decision. Why wait if you can go duke it out? But at some point, they found themselves having a little bit of a struggle. Not that big of a struggle, but having a struggle for sure. A 3v1 situation is not easy for anyone. The folks at 411 did an amazing job fighting, but so did 413 in orange, 426 in blue, and 416 in pink in pushing back as a 3v1. At some point, baby blue in 415 stepped in and started having their own fun too. They wanted to get a little bit of the action in this Lost Kingdom. Overall, this Lost Kingdom was super interesting because of the way the wars ended up working out. So essentially, the kingdom that was supposed to be in that right area, in that zone 6, the 3 kingdoms that were supposed to in theory share that area, found themselves in a really big predicament because a very strong kingdom was coming up against them. They were holding them back fairly well. They managed to isolate pink away by the fact that pink just made it all the way down like they needed to, but then blue and orange had a little bit of a tougher time getting there. Again, not because of weakness or not fighting or any of that stuff, but just by the sheer fact of the way the flags had to be built and the amount of flags that had to be built, it just took a little bit longer. And when that happened, you essentially did what is called divide and conquer. 411 managed to divide and conquer. In a 3v1 scenario, the only way one can win 3 is by dividing and conquering, which means you do not allow the 3 to work together as a pack. You try to separate them. If you can separate the pack of 3 to a 2 on one side and 1 on the other, you can hold back the 2 while pouring in on the 1, going for the 1v1, defeating that side, and then trying to, again, divide and conquer between the 2 to cause 1v1 scenarios. This is in general part of Art of War, where you are essentially trying to isolate your opponents to not have to deal with a multiple frontier war. Now we have a few awesome reports, some Attila Takeda rallies with a few attempts to hold on to them. Charles Martel in the back, probably not a good idea with a Richard up on the front. So far so good. Listen, here's the pickle. When 4 415 came into the scene, it became a very annoying situation. Because now blue have to deal not only with red, but also with baby blue. You'll see that on the map in a moment as baby blue are really targeting them. Orange found themselves between a hard place and a rock. Blue found themselves fighting two very big kingdoms. And this led to some craziness. One of the things that I really want you guys to keep an eye on reports from here on out in general, by the way, is not only on the number of troops killed, but on the power lost. I've been saying it again and again in the last few videos about wars, where losing more troops than one side, but having less tier 5s dying, or essentially less power lost, means that yes, quantity-wise, you definitely lost more troops. But in terms of who caused the more damage, if I can lose 1.5 tier 4s for 1 tier 5, it's a fairly decent trade-off, as the cost of tier 5s in terms of speed ups and resources is substantially bigger. So even if you tell me that I lose 1.5 million tier 4s, but you lose 900,000 tier 5s, I'll take that any day of the week. Yes, having 1.5 million troops is a lot, and rebuilding that quantity is indeed a lot. But if you're looking at an empirical loss in terms of everything that comes around, the number of troops is bigger on your side, but the amount of investment into those troops is much smaller. Remember that a troop at the end of the day is a combination of resources and speed ups. And if you are losing troops, you're not really losing troops, you're losing resources and speed ups of the training time. Now, yes, if you don't speed up troops, it's natural, then you're losing natural time. That's a different story. But if you're someone who pushed even one troop, when that troop died, you essentially lost the speed ups, and resources are definitely costly no matter what. So some of these reports really reflected that. 1.3 million versus 1.9 million with a little bit more losses on the one side versus the other is a very, very good news. Really, it means that you're losing a lot of resources. So the folks in baby blue had enough. They said, we're gonna come help out a little bit. They started pushing pink back. Pink were, as you saw, all the way down towards the pass, and it was much more dominant than this until baby blue started showing up in here in the forms of Zero, in the forms of other alliances from the baby blue kingdom of 415. And from there, pushing back the isolated pink side was very, very easy. Not because pink were bad, but just because, again, when you divide and conquer and the strategy is all based around 3 teams working together, when one team gets stuck going on a 1v1, it becomes really, really, really tough. And you can see blue were now dealing with baby blue in the bottom and red on the left side, and pink that were already by the pass were now getting pushed back. And to make matters worse, blue and orange kind of blocked themselves, like you can see right here, to a point where orange barely had any territory in this area and blue couldn't get to red without going through orange. It became a little bit of a situation. This is just to show you guys how the bottom area looked. These guys were so focused on the right side that the bottom got a couple flags, and that's that. And then the folks in what's her name, 426, were really trying to push back. They were really trying to do their thing against 415, but they have to deal with 411 at the same time. And orange is also taking a beating and blocking them from getting there. The worst thing that can happen happened. And on top of divide and conquer, which is very important in the art of war to win a multiple frontier war, the second most important thing you want to keep your eye on and try to do is sort of demoralize the other side. Now, by demoralize, I don't mean talk smack in, for lack of a better word, I'm not going to use a different word, talk smack in Lost Kingdom chat. That's probably not what's going to do it. But what you do is you figure out how to make the other teams make mistakes that harm each other. And red and baby blue definitely managed to get the job done. To the point where, from my understanding of things, a little bit of a confrontation happened between 413, 426, and 416, which ended up leading to 426 turning on 416 and 413. Now, again, I'm not 100% on this Lost Kingdom. I don't know all the parties. I don't understand the internal politics. I'm not in their chats. I'm not in their leadership. I'm nowhere. All I know is the information that individuals on the ground in this Lost Kingdom who participated, we're talking leaders of alliances, kings of kingdoms, soldiers on the war, all of them came up to me and told me all these stories and all these different points of views on how things happen. Now, there's no right or wrong in war. Essentially, either side have their own version of what happened. Either side sees the one side of the coin, but a coin does indeed have two sides, like every argument and anything that really happens. There are two sides to everything, and so those who were willing to tell me their story, I shared a big part of it. Those who didn't tell me their story, I don't know it, so I can't really refute it, right? And so when one person tells me one kingdom turned on the other, but the other kingdom tells me, oh, we didn't turn on them, they turned on us, it's a tough situation. But when one kingdom tells me they turned on us and the other side doesn't tell me anything, there's really no way for me to even come up with what's right and what's wrong. So I give you guys the information that I know. Take it with a grain of salt. Understand that I am just here to give you an awesome story of a very, very cool Lost Kingdom where one kingdom held back three other kingdoms until 415 decided to come in and play. They caused a very big disruption in 413, 426, and 416's frontiers. And eventually, red and baby blue managed to take out orange, blue, and pink. Again, in this Lost Kingdom, it was a 4v4. But purple really wasn't involved in this part at all. And truthfully, neither were green. They tried. They definitely tried. They did some of the craziest things. I mean, they went around the world building forts to try to get to the confrontation. But truthfully, they weren't really involved in this. By the time they got here, most of the war had already finished. And now if you go take a look at the map, yes, they do own the Zone 5 that's up on the top right side area. And them and red pushed through to now go try to catch, I believe it's orange on that corner, if I'm not mistaken. It's either orange or blue in that corner on the right side. We can take a peek while recording really quickly just to make sure to give you the correct information. So at this stage, it was blue. It is blue who are being pushed in. Their circles are gone. Their everything is gone. They're now almost pushed back to their zone 4, and when zones 4 open up, they'll probably be taken out. Pink are already pushed back to their zone 4. Orange are already pushed back almost into their zone 4. They have a little bit of flags on that zone 5, but that's getting burned too. And yeah, purple did go around. Purple did manage to make it to that area to also try to share some love and try to show up. But the main efforts that happened were primarily by the folks of red. And by the time green and purple made it to the other side of that top area to try to duke it out with orange and blue, red had pretty much taken most of their wind out of their sails. I'd like to thank the folks of Lost Kingdom 52. Shout out to 422, 411, 415, 429, 413, 426, 416, and 417. These are the 8 kingdoms that participated in this Lost Kingdom. Final thoughts are that really losing a Lost Kingdom is tough. I've seen kingdoms break apart over it, and I've seen kingdoms become stronger over it. It causes ruckus. It causes some tension within the team. It causes a lot of blame shifting, among other things. But I hope that regardless of a win or a loss, somewhat of a good experience was had, and at least something was learned out of this Lost Kingdom for future ones, because these are all amazing kingdoms. These are all fighters and warriors, and even though they might not stay in their current kingdoms and maintain their current situation, they can take some of the lessons they've learned, such as holding on to flags and passes and dividing their flag building strategy better and all that stuff. They can take that to the next Lost Kingdom and smash their opponent. With that being said, I'm Gekko. I'm out of here. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. Drop a like on it if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys sooner rather than later. Thank you for all your continuous support. You guys have been awesome lately. Let's keep it going. We are up and away, and hopefully this channel's gonna take off to the next level. I appreciate all of you with your awesome comments, awesome support, and I'll see you sooner rather than later. Take care. Peace.